Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on the 2007 AutoTrail Cheyenne SE. So, under the bonnet here, you've got your engine battery over on the left hand side. Brake fluid attached to the servo just behind it. Power steering fluid just here at the front. Engine oil filling point and your engine oil dipstick. You've got fuses and relays behind here, not many, just a couple. The main fuse and relay box is this one just here. Engine coolant is in this reservoir just here at the top, and that's what it's the kind of pinky fluid. And your washer fluid is down here. The air filter sits inside this box just here, and it has just got the 4 screws to take that out. And your chassis plate, the one that you actually want to go off is this one here from SV Tech. So gross weight 3700, and so that's the one you want to go off there. Diesel filling point just inside there, and you just open that up by pushing on the left hand side of the actual flap. Not much to show inside the passenger door normally, so you've just got the electric window. This side obviously you can get to the blind for this side to put it up there, and the good sized glove box. There's not much to show you under the passenger seat. In fact, there's nothing to show you under the passenger seat. So the front is, the passenger side on the front is pretty straightforward, not much in there at all. Inside this first little locker here, and again we're on the near side now, we've got your leisure battery. So that's what that is down there. It does say leisure battery on the top of it, and it looks reasonably new to me. There is a cover for that, so if you put that back down again, then you can do. The door opens up and holds itself open in this little cap just here, if you push it in a little bit harder. The step comes in and out electronically. Nice and smooth, no sort of lumps and bumps with that, that's good. These 2 vents just here are from your fridge. If you've got the fridge lit up on gas, which I do at the moment, you can put your hand over this and just check that there's warm air coming out from it. External gas point over here on the near side, because it's underneath the awning, which is where you want it to be really. The next locker along is underneath the seats at the back. So you've got loads of storage in here. You've got a couple of gas isolator taps over there. Be careful as best you can with this pipe just here, because that's the blown air heating pipe, so that will get hot, and if you do knock it and break it, then you'll eventually start to, you know, stop getting so much heat going around the vehicle basically. So that's what that is. Let's see if there's anything underneath. Nope. So the freshwater inlet point is this one just here next door to that. I'll unlock it to show you. So that's a good point. Pushing in and round to the left, if it's not doing anything at all like that, and it's just sort of making that clicking noise, that means it's locked. And so if I just put the key in, twist it around, take the key back out, it should now release. There you go. So like I said, if it's pushing in and round to the left and not actually doing anything, that means it's locked. So if I do that now, put the key in it and turn it again, if I can get the right key in my hand, key in, feels like the wrong, oh no, it's the right one. Key in and turn it, and then take the key out. That would always happen on the video, wouldn't it? Right, I'll sort that in just a minute. That little piece needs putting back in again. Right, but basically, when you put the key in and turn it and take the key out, you'll be able to unlock it and lock it nice and easily from that. But I just need to put that little piece back in, glue it back in just a minute. At the back underneath, you've got the freshwater drain off point and your rear steadies, one on each side. This vent just here is for the boiler, so if you have got the boiler lit up on gas, again like the fridge vent, you can put your hand over the top of this vent here to check if there's any warm air coming out. Gas locker is pretty straightforward. You've got one 6 kilo propane bottle in here. To turn the bottle on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left. To turn it off, you go clockwise around to the right. You need to make sure you turn that off before you start driving. And that's about all you need to know about the gas system, really. It's all pretty straightforward. This vent just here is to cover up the boiler vent if you should ever need it. You've got an external water point, and that is hot and cold. Your hookup point is this one just here. So that'll give you access to anything that's mains powered. I believe the TV is 240 volts, so you will need that for that. But yeah, so that's where the hookup point goes in. Toilet cassette locker. So the toilet cassette itself has a freshwater flush. To pull the cassette out, you lift up on the yellow tab, and then the cassette itself will come all the way out. All you need to know really about this is that you empty it out from here. So you swivel this round and empty it out from there. When you're actually physically emptying it out, you should be holding down the little yellow button there at the back. And as best you can, as often as you can, you should keep this little rubber seal here lubricated in order to stop it from leaking past. Just in case you weren't aware as well, the stuff you should use for that is like a silicone lubricant. If you can find some, just pure silicone lubricant, nothing you know, nothing too fancy, just silicone lubricant is plenty, is all you need. The wastewater drain off point is this one just here, and you've got the handle on the left hand side of that, just next to the exhaust. And that is it for the outside. So inside the driver's door, you've got the bonnet release handle just there, and your steering wheel adjustment next door to that. Now this particular vehicle has had another key at some point, and so you do need to put this little loop around the other key when you're trying to start it. So if I just show you. So I think what's happened in the past is this is the original key, which accepts the current, or that accepts the sort of signal from this little transponder, or this sort of immobilizer. So when you wrap that around this key, like that, just there, and go to start it, whoops, and go to start it with this key, the engine will start. But you'll find when you try and put this key in here, I think basically what's happened is the barrel itself has been replaced at some point to fit this key. And because that's happened, but this bit here hasn't been replaced, you still have to wrap it around this key to start it. It's when you get the hang of doing it, it's really, really easy, but I just thought I'd point that out to you. That's what that is. Anyway, so we've got the 5-speed manual gearbox. Reverse is lift up and over to the top left. Lights and indicators are on your left-hand stalk here. Washers and wipers on the right. You've got the electric adjusting mirrors and windows. The hazard warning light switch is just there in the middle. You've got front and rear fog lights. I always like to mention, this little switch just here is for the original factory fitted rear window heater. Now obviously that's not going to do anything at all because the rear window isn't there anymore, because it's been converted into a motorhome, so it's completely missing. So that won't do anything at all. It will probably still light up, but it won't do anything. All of the heat controls are just here, so you can change where you want to put the air to, temperature and fan speed. You've got a reversing camera, so that'll work. Shouldn't come on without any ignition on, so that's good. There you go. Right, so this particular model has got the overcab bed. So when you pull this piece of wood out just here, you can put it all the way forwards and then basically just fold over the other side of the mattress there, and you'll be able to get up into that and use it as a bed. When you're not using it, putting it away like that is really, really helpful, because it means you've got all this space then that you wouldn't have otherwise. You've got 2 windows, one on either side, a couple of lights on this near side. Inside the bathroom, the shower basically makes up from this tap just here, so you do have to take this out like that and pop it in up here, but that is nice and easy. The Toilet itself is very simple. All you need to know really is that you drain it into the cassette by doing this, pushing it to the right, and then put it back. That closes the flap back over, and to actually use the flush fluid, push the blue button. So, you know, really, really nice and simple. Nothing to it at all, really. So that is the bathroom, nice and easy. In this wardrobe just here, we'll get to the control panel in a second because I know that's quite important, but in this wardrobe just here, I think we'll start sort of showing you from here, because down here at the bottom is probably the sort of, they call it the PSU, the power supply unit. So essentially what this is all the 12 volt power from the leisure battery and the 240 volt power from the hookup, if you've got it plugged in, come directly to here, the EC200. This is a Sergeant unit, and then just get split off, you know, to all the different places in the vehicle as and where it needs to go. So this is your power supply unit. So you've got your trip switches over here on the right hand side, so that's your main stuff, and you've got your 12 volt fuses down here. Now the fuses have all got a little sort of symbol there telling you exactly what they do and what size they should be. And the same with the RCDs, MCBs over here. It tells you exactly which one does what. So that's where you want to go to if you start getting any issues with sort of any sort of 12 volt power or mains power, anything like that. You need to come here. This little switch just here would have been the original charger switch, because the original charger would have been inside this box. But it looks like at some point in the future, no, in the past, sorry, not future. Some point in the past, the battery charger would have given up, and so they fitted this nice one next door to it, which, to be fair, is probably a little bit more powerful than the standard one, so that's good. You've got an on and off switch on the top of that. You can leave it in the on position as long as you want the charger to be switched on when you plug the hookup cable in. So that is that stuff down there. That's your power supply unit, and it's a Sergeant EC200. Pretty much all of these AutoTrails of this sort of year use the same Sergeant units, just because they're so reliable, really. So the AutoTrail branded Sergeant control panel up here as well. So you've got the main on and off switch, water pump, auxiliary power, and then switching between engine and vehicle and leisure battery. So you do not want to have this light on. Don't touch that button, basically. The reason for that is because at the moment we've got the lights on, we've got ignition on, we've got all that sort of stuff on, and it's being drawn from the leisure battery. If we switch that button over to drawing power from the engine battery, all of this stuff would stay on, but you'd just be draining out the engine battery, basically, and the next time you go to start it up, you know, it would be dead, essentially. So leave that button switched off. All right. If you go through here on the right hand side, we go back to the beginning again. Hold on, let's just go back to the beginning. Right, so this is your main sort of original screen here. So it tells you it's an EC200 system, tells you the temperature and the time. The time is wrong, by the way. If you wanted to change that, you can do. It's quite simple. So if we flick through, event timer, set timer, you don't need to do that really. Alarm, no. Clock set, you can do that. Water tank fill, again, you don't need to worry about that one. Pump select, internal. So you don't need to change that from internal. The only reason they have that sort of functionality is if you had a 12 volt socket next door to the water inlet, and you can basically send power to that, so you can draw water into the vehicle via a pump. But even the external water point will be fed from the internal pump. So even if you're using the external point, you still leave it on internal. All right. Same for the taps in the vehicle, all that sort of stuff. It's all from the internal tap. So that is that. Next one, wastewater level, that is empty. Freshwater level 25%. Vehicle battery 12.7, that's good. Leisure battery 12.1, 12.2, that's good. And that's it, that's your control panel. Next door to the control panel, we've got these dials just here. So the one on the left hand side is how you use the boiler on gas. So if I just show you how to do that, you quite literally set your temperature, and that goes from 30 all the way around to 70. Set your temperature and then switch it on like that. That is all you have to do. After a couple of seconds, you'll hear it ignite and light up. In fact, I think he's already done it. And you just leave it to get hot and you'll have hot water at your tap. It's, you know, it really couldn't be any easier than that. So that's how you use the hot water on gas. You just literally turn that. When you finish with it, make sure that you switch it off. The one to the right of that over here, the ultra heat switch, that is basically your heating system, which is that down there, working on the mains electric. Now, if you want that to be able to work on the mains electric, there will be a switch just down here. So I will tell you about the one on the left hand side in just a minute. Get that to focus. I will tell you what the left hand one here does in a minute, but the one that has the big H on it, which stands for heating, is the one that you need to have switched on. So actually, if you want to, you can leave that one there switched on all the time, because it won't do anything at all until you use the switch above the door there, which I'm about to show you. So if you've got the hookup cable plugged in, switch this one on that says ultra heat on it, and then you can come over to this switch again, the one that also says ultra heat, and you can use 500, 1000 or 2000 watts, and that basically just selects through 3 different elements in the back of this heater, and then we'll just produce heat via the 240 volt electrics. But like I said, this switch won't do anything without the heater switched on inside there, and the heater switch down there won't do anything until you select your wattage up there. So it's completely up to you whether you want to leave that on or off. I'm going to switch it off now because that's how it was left after the hab check, but you know, that's completely up to you how you want to do that. A lot of people wouldn't actually even use that on the mains, to be completely honest. It's more often used just on the gas. So on that point, if we carry on with the heating system just for a second. So the heater itself, if you want to light it up on the gas, then you have to come to the actual system itself here. It's really easy how to actually do it. As long as you've got your gas switched on the locker, which we've already established is on, come to this little switch on the right hand side, twist it around to sort of 2 or 3. Straight away you can hear the igniter is actually running at the moment, so it's clicking away. If we have a little look down this peephole, sometimes it's hard to show it on the videos. Yeah, I can't. Anyway, I can't see it in there. I can see it in real life here, but once you've got that clicker going, push down on the dial on 2 or 3, and then we'll see what happens. So you can see there, really nice clean blue flame in the corner. So now all I'm going to do is release this. So I've let go of it, it's still on. So that's our pilot flame. And then I'm going to turn this around to sort of 7 or 8. So the main flame's now kicked in. You just need to keep your eye on that, make sure it stays on. So it's still on. Just for about sort of 20 seconds or so. Just keep your eye on that, make sure it stays on. If it goes out, the igniter will start clicking again and you'll hear it. And in that case, if it does start to go off, all you have to do is push back down again, like that. The pilot flame will kick back in again, and then let it go again. It just basically gives it a little head start, a bit of a kick start if you like. So that's how you use the heating on the gas. All right. Once you've got this heater hot, either via the gas or the electric, you can also use the blown air function on it as well. So you can push this to the left and then select your speed. That will then start pumping your hot air out, around the little circle vents. All right, so you've got your blown air heating. When you want to turn this gas heating off, go all the way back round to 0. And you can see in there now, no flame. And that's how you use the heating. If you want to heat the water up via the electric, that's what the other switch in here is for. So as long as you've got the electric hookup plugged in, you can turn the Ultra Store switch on that has the big W on it, and that will basically start heating the water up inside the boiler via the electric element. Okay, so heating on electric, water on electric, but like I said, the heating won't do anything at all until you use the dial above the door. Okay, so Just to the right in here, underneath this seat, you can see you've got this little handle, which literally just pulls back like a bonnet handle. Now this is how you open up your gas locker. So if you want to pull this, the gas locker will basically just spring open. All right, so there's no key or anything like that to get the gas locker open. You just literally pull on this. It's literally like a bike brake cable, essentially. So that's how you open up the gas locker. At the very back, sorry, I need to show you near the boiler as well. So this is the boiler at the back just here. The little yellow tab that you can see down there, if I can just hold the camera still a second. So the yellow tab that you can see down there, that's your boiler drain off valve. The only reason you ever need to use that is if the boiler was going to get really cold. So if it's going to get seriously cold outside, and you knew there was water inside the boiler, you can lift that little yellow tab up and just basically drain all the water out from inside of it onto the floor, and that will stop it all from freezing up inside and creating any leaks. So that is what that's there for. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll show you the this cooker system. So it's a proper sort of range cooker, spin flow caprice. It's another standard kind of appliance to have. You have got the 240 volt hot plate on there as well. So if you have the hookup cable plugged in, you can use this dial. It goes from 1 all the way through to 6, and it'll just basically start heating up the plate at the back there. The rest of them have got all their own ignitions, and they've got a little diagram telling you exactly which one does which. So pushing it in and turning it whilst holding down the ignition will basically just light it up, nice and simple. The grill, you need to have the grill door open whilst you're using it, and the oven, you can see just there. But like I said, absolutely every gas appliance all runs from, well, every gas burner, sorry, all comes from that one switch there. So probably the last appliance I need to run you through will be the fridge. As long as there's nothing in here, no. So the fridge, I've currently got that lit up on gas. You can see there, because I've got it up here facing this little line here, and the gas sort of word has got a little amber light that's nice and steady. If you were pointed towards this gas symbol and the amber light was flashing at you, that means either the ignition's on and it's trying to light up, or it's gone out and failed. All right, so that's the two reasons you'd have that flashing light. So if I go back up to the top there, the flame's now gone out and the fridge is completely off. Okay, if I want to cool this fridge down, I need to either do it on the gas or the 240 volt. The 12 volt, which is for when your engine's running, only retains whatever temperature you've already put into it via one of the other two. So the 12 volt, like I said, is just literally just for keeping the fridge cold whilst you're driving. So I always sort of recommend, if you're going to go away tomorrow morning, I would recommend coming out to the fridge the night before, putting all your stuff in it, and then switching the fridge on either on the gas, which is just by turning it to the one, just turning it once and it will light up by itself. Or if you've got access to a hookup cable and the hookup's plugged in, you can go one more to 230 volt, and that will basically just cool the fridge down via the electric element in the back. So it really is as easy as that. Just choose gas or 240, 230, and then leave it to cool down. It will take a good 3 or 4 hours, which is why I recommend doing it overnight, because that gives it a real good chance to keep everything cold. And then when you start the engine up, go down to 12 volt, and then when you get to where you're going and you stop and you turn the engine off and all that, switch it back to one of the other two. So that is it. The only other thing I will just talk to you about as well, with the boiler, I know I mentioned briefly about the boiler drain off there. The way to make sure that your boiler is actually full of water as well is to come to the tap and basically just pull the tap through on the hot side. If the water comes through nice and easily on the hot side, it means that the boiler is full of water and you're good to go. If the water comes through and it's a little bit sort of coffee spluttery, then you need to just leave it on, leave it to carry on for a little bit, and then use the boiler as you want to when the water starts coming through nice and clearly. But other than that, to be honest, it's all pretty straightforward stuff. AutoTrail have always been very classic in their styling. and the way that they, you know, the sort of appliances that they use have always been very, very similar. Like I can pretty much guarantee that these two lights at the back should be on a dimmer switch, and they're probably 240 volt. Yeah, so these two lights back here, AutoTrail have always done that. It'll be this little dimmer switch here, so when your hookup cable's plugged in, that will work and you'll be able to use the lights like that. But it's nice to have the little dimming lights at the back there, just in case you weren't aware of that. Okay, so I hope this video has been all right and shows you enough to get you going with it. Of course, there will be other things that you'll find and work out how to use, but you know, it's just a basic guide to get you going with it. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you'd like going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.